Welcome to this interview with Catalina Niculita, CISCO Solution Engineering Manager for Turkey, Romania, and CIS, the Central Asia and Caucasus region, if you didn't know, like me. I'm Eva Tasheva, your host, and this is one of the series of interviews with cybersecurity experts at Cyen Cybersecurity. Catalina, welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. It's very nice to be here.
I have had the pleasure to sit on a panel, to moderate another panel with Catalina in Romania at the cybersecurity conference last autumn. We have shared a lot of insights on regulation back then, cybersecurity regulation. But I would like now for you to speak at the broader audience and tell us a little bit more about your role and priorities.
Thank you. So my name is Catalina Niculita. I'm very happy and excited to be here in your channel. My role is in CISCO Systems. I'm currently the Solution Engineering Manager for several countries for a region that we call TRC, Turkey, Romania, and CIS. My role as a Solution Engineering Manager is to lead the team of experts, pre-sales consultants, who are like the bridge between the people, our customers, and our technologies. We design our solution, we provide the best practices and the best way to implement our solution and to deliver the best results for our customers.
Sounds like very technical role. Is it always about technical details, or you look also at the business
It's
needs?
mostly about bridging the gap between technical part, the technologies, and the people. Because each of our customers is unique. They have unique needs, unique networks, unique ways that they need to implement our solutions. So our role is to understand, first of all, the customer environment, to understand their requirements, and their restraints, and for us to offer the best possible way in which technology can solve their problems. And in the end, the solution, the outcome is to provide a better way to work day by day, to offer better security, better resilience, faster time to access their solution and their data, and everything in a secure way and in the best way that is possible using our technologies and their requirements. So it's about bridging the gap between technologies and people. It's a very
Okay.
exciting role. You have to understand very well and to think about security and technology and IT in general, but you also need to understand the people that we are working with. So it's very exciting, and I'm very happy with the job that I'm currently having.
Most people get scared from the technology part, but I know technology could help, could make things complicated, but people with important element eventually it's not, we don't do tech for tech, we do tech to help people. But what is your take on the ongoing technology revolution? As a company in cybersecurity, but also as a startup, I see great impact of AI on how we develop, how we use technology. There is also LLM, the large language models, which are largely available for anyone without any background to take and employ. Um, what is your take on it? Where do we go with that?
Yes, we are definitely in the AI era. This is the current hype. I think every decade or every year has its own hype, its own technology that is the rising star and everybody is talking about. We had security a while ago, and then we had the period of quantum computing, and now definitely it is the year of AI. Everybody is talking about AI, everybody is investing in AI. But what we still need to understand and to work on is how can we effectively and securely use AI in our day-to-day job and into our business, and how can we use AI as an efficient tool that will optimize and will make our life more effective, but in the same time maintain it secure. So it is a challenge that all the customers are going through. The entire market is looking on AI and how to involve AI, but how to make it secure in the same time. So it's not an easy task. Up until recently, most of the industry dialogue on AI has been focused on chips like NVIDIA, on computing power, on large language models. But as enterprises begin to take on AI workloads, the challenge of connecting computing resources and data together, both inside the data center and in the cloud, is going to be the next frontier of AI innovation. And in that sense, the networking, we believe, is going to be the key to successfully scaling out AI on enterprise. Recently, last week, Cisco and NVIDIA announced a mutual intent to expand the partnership that we had that brings the best of the two worlds together, the data center networking and the compute and the GPUs. Based on this agreement, NVIDIA will enable our chipset, Silicon One, to be part of NVIDIA SuperNICs in order to become one of the NVIDIA Spectrum X Ethernet networking platform. It's a very big announcement for us, and we are very happy to be leading, to have a leading part in this AI revolution.
Congratulations. First, I know when we speak about technology, we have to consider that partnerships are essential. We cannot have it all in one place, and we should play along with each other's strengths, joining forces. So, congratulations first for having this partnership, and second, this I think is a great recognition of the role of Cisco in this revolution. But so I see how you see the role. Maybe you could clarify of how you see specifically the role of Cisco for the future, and then maybe what do you expect or how do you see SME to play along?
Well, first of all, I believe our essential role is in the infrastructure part. As we see AI becoming more and more relevant and interesting for the business part, we also see the challenge, and that is the security part. In this moment, a lot of customers are using, or a lot of people, employees, are using AI for their own, let's say, personal use, and they are using a publicly available solution, a publicly available LLM. The problem is that if you want to ask an official LLM, a publicly available LLM, where do you want to go into a vacation? That's perfect. The response will be very helpful, will be exact. There will be no breach of any policy, and there will be no conflict of interest regarding that question. However, when you are using that publicly available LLM to ask it questions about your business, using the confidential information of your customers, well, then it might become a problem. So the enterprises are seeing this, and even the SMEs. So they start thinking about how to build their own AI solution on premises, because the overall reason is that we need to control the data. Every time we ask a question to a publicly available LLM, that data goes into that LLM. So it is constantly being updated on trained on your own data. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say I have three customers, NBAC, and I have to prepare a report for them, but it's very difficult for me to write it. So let's just go and use a publicly available LLM, right? So I just upload the file with all the confidential information that I have and say, please give me a very nice written report on what is the, I don't know, currency fluctuation for that customer, or what is the growth of the sales for that customer. Now, all that information, they go to into that LLM. So it becomes somehow accessible indirectly to other customers as well. So that can be a serious breach of security policies. So the enterprises are seeing this. So they started more and more considering the idea of having an LLM trained on site, on their premises, on their own data. So they can offer the same experience to their employees, but offering a subset, a model trained on premises with their own data that is constrained on their premises. So the data does not go anywhere else. So we see security as being a very, very, very important element. We made a study recently, and we interviewed a lot of CIOs of many customers. And most of them, 97%, said, yes, we are very interested in AI. However, less than 2% said that we are ready and we are prepared for everything that AI is about to bring. And they had three major concerns. First of all is the security part. Then they realized that in order to run AI in a completely secure manner, they need to modernize the infrastructure. And this is not an easy task. And last but not the least, they are concerned about the level of expertise and awareness that their employees have in order to use, to run, and to develop these solutions. So we believe that we have taken very important steps towards all these three elements. We are providing some very easy to use solutions for the companies that want to develop their own LLM on premises. We do not develop an LLM. However, we do offer very easy to use solutions for those LLMs to run on. And I mean full infrastructure solutions, compute, storage, first of all, networking, which is where is the part that we are very, very good at, and very important, the security part. And this is where I want to come in, because security it should be an integral part of an AI solution. It should be something that everybody should be aware of. So recently we have launched two solutions in this AI space. The first one is called AI Defense. We have launched it in January this year. It's a very important solution because it sits somewhere in the middle between the people who are using the LLM and the LLM itself, and the developers in the backend who are developing and working on this LLM. So what does AI Defense do? It provides a certain guardrails. It checks if all the inputs are appropriate and if all the outputs are appropriate. And it also has the ability to filter the usage of unallowed LLMs. This is something that we see in a lot of our large customers. They say, okay, we invested a lot, you have our own AI solution. Our employees are not allowed to use our internal data with the publicly available LLMs. You have to use your own solution. And in order to do that, our solutions allow the IT department to filter those LLMs publicly available, which are not considered to be part of the security policy. Now, what can we do to make the development of this, let's say, own hosted AI solution much easier? We also have a very good solution in place. It's called Hyper Shield. We have launched it last year, but this year at Cisco Live, we have expanded its capabilities. So what is Hyper Shield? It's basically a distributed security solution for the data center. And when I mean distributed, it means it runs everywhere. The old days, like in Middle Ages, where you have a fortress, and if you have the walls big enough and tall enough and strong enough, then you are safe. Well, those ages are over in the security space as well. So just having one device and the entrance of the network as a firewall to protect you, it's no longer enough. So you need to have security everywhere. So this distributed solution functions in the following way. We have a centralized point where we define a policy, what you are allowed to use and to do and what you are not allowed to do. But the enforcement point, this is the key. Where do I check if this policy is allowed or is not allowed? I do this enforcement point in every single point of the network. The first one that we launched last year, it runs on every server. It runs on Kubernetes, on containers. This part, it's, let's say, fairly easy to do. But it's not enough, because we want to move the enforcement point to be closer to the customer, closer to you. So I don't have to do the enforcement only on the server. So in February this year, we had our biggest event in Europe. It's called Cisco Live. It took place in February in Amsterdam. It was a huge and amazing event. We had over 17,000 people attending. And usually at this event, we launch our latest and greatest innovations that we had in the previous year. So this year, we launched a new switch. It's called the Smart Switch. It's a smart switch because it has inside the possibility to do the network processing like a normal switch would do, but to also do the security processing. It has a specialized chip, we call it DPU, and it has the ability to run this solution, Hyper Shield, directly on the switch. So imagine you have one single point where you define all the security policies for your network, and then when you click apply, it goes to all the servers and to all the switches that you have in your current data center. So in this moment, from one single pane of glass, you can see everything that is going on, all the traffic that is compliant and the traffic that is not compliant with your security policies. So in this way, we believe that we are one step closer to the security that we would all wish to have in the AI space. But this is not all, because technology plays a very, very important role in our day-to-day security. But it's not always all about security, all about technology. It's sometimes mostly about the people. So we believe that the awareness plays a very, very important role in the way we decide to use the technology. So having constant awareness of what are the security risks is something that every enterprise need to do. And even the SMEs, all the companies should have a security policy, and all the employees should be aware of what is that security policies, because many times they do things that, let's say, are not appropriate from a security perspective, and they said, oh, but I didn't know, I'm not allowed to do that. So just enforcing it from a technical perspective is not always enough. It needs to be explained why you are not allowed to use company confidential data and post it on the internet, or search about it, or post it on Facebook, for instance. We many years ago, we even had pictures of our not of our, but of internal data center of our customers, like very detailed pictures from the data center posted on Facebook on a selfie. Well, that's not appropriate, and that's a security policy breach. But this security policy needs to be explained to all the employees, and using the technology needs to be enforced. So education continues to have a critical role. And in our educational program, NetAcad, we have developed a new track. It's called data science, and we already have two available courses available free online to everybody at a very, let's say, beginners level, where everybody can understand what is data science about, where are we going with these technologies, and how can we effectively and securely use them into our own advantage.
Mhm. I see already that you're doing a lot for what was my next question about what could major ICT and security companies help SMEs. How can companies like yours help SMEs strengthen their security posture? I gathered now you spoke about the solutions, about the visibility for security, but also about awareness and training. Is there something else you didn't mention yet? And now put it in perspective of other companies. What do you think everyone as a community should be doing more?
Well, I think in the past and even now, I believe the companies are facing a dilemma. They want to have safety and security, but they also need to have speed. And when I'm talking about speed, I don't mean just the speed to access the internet. It's also the speed to develop new solutions. So let's say this new AI technology came into place and now everybody wants to offer it. So many companies are very, very eager and very quick to try to develop new LLM technologies to increase their awareness in the market and to provide, let's say, quicker and new service to their customers. But in order to have this speed in the go-to market, you must not sacrifice security. Of course, for the business part, it's not okay to sacrifice speed in approaching a new market for the safety and security. So the key is that we need to have both. We always need to have both. And while let's say, the business part is focused on delivering on time all these new services to the market, the IT department is focused on maintaining an appropriate security level. Because in the recent years, and I think in the last 20 years, the rate of increase percentage-wise in security attacks, it's growing every single year. So every year we have like double the amount of attacks that we had last year. So it's always a race between the attackers and the companies. And sometimes we choose not to see all these threats because we need to do something faster, because one of our competitors did it, so we need to launch this product as well. It doesn't matter if it's safe or not, we just need to launch it. And this mindset, we see it in some of the companies, and it's wrong. We always need to make sure that all these products that we are launching are completely safe. And for bigger vendors, this is why sometimes we are late to the market. Let's say maybe sometimes smaller companies are very quick to launch something, and maybe sometimes we are late, but this is because we have to build it properly. We have to build it with security in mind, and we need to make sure that all the solutions that we deliver to our customers are first of all secure, and then they are, let's say, timely to the market, or they have all the bells and whistles and all the nice functionality. Because the security part, even though sometimes it's not being perceived as an important functionality because you don't see it, it is one of the most fundamental important features in our life. So what should companies do? They should try to be aware of what are all the security risks. There are a lot of companies and partners out there who are doing a lot of audit. There are so many information publicly available. Just having the security mindset in mind, and not the least complying to all the EU regulations, it's a very important step, because I believe EU is taking the appropriate steps in creating and defining the regulations, the appropriate regulations in terms of security. So if a company is truly compliant with all the existing regulations that we have in EU in this moment, they have done probably the most important steps toward having a secure offering internally and externally.
So I hear from you that the current regulation is a good baseline. It is not minimum, it's not too much. It's good, let's say, approach to security
From a security perspective,
from a
of
security
course,
perspective.
it's
Yeah.
very difficult to be compliant with all the new regulations that are coming up, and the regulatory part, it is a burden for most of the companies, especially when they have new regulation coming and you have to change your policies and check your policies and change the procedure. So it is a burden, but many times security is a burden. So I believe that all these regulations that are coming and that come in the last year and continue to come up have a very good purpose, and that is to enforce a minimum level of security. Of
Mm.
course, complying to these regulations is expensive. Being secure is expensive. It's so much cheaper to just forget about security, launch every product that you have for your customers right on time, don't secure anything, don't invest. Just be the first one to be in the market, have a very cheap service to your customers. It's by far the easiest thing to do and the quickest thing to do, but it's not the right way to do it. It's not the proper way to
It's
offer
not
this service.
sustainable.
It's
Yes,
not
indeed.
sustainable because we have so many breaches. I mean, we have so many hackers out there who are constantly scanning all the vulnerabilities that are out there. So one day or another, people that do not take security into account will have a security breach.
And we'll have to
That's
pay
why,
for it. Yeah.
yes, that's why it's important to try and be compliant with all the regulations, even though it is a burden. So I think one of the very good things that these security regulations do is they try to have a common baseline for all the companies that are active in the EU.
Yeah.
Because without this regulation, some say, yeah, well, I will take my chances. I will not be secure. I will not invest in security. I will just go and do a website, and my products that are sold in this website are much cheaper than yours. So way to go. Nobody's checking me. So it's the problem of the customers if they are willing to enter the credit card details on a non-secure website. But EU says, no, this is not the right way to do it. You are not allowed to do it. So it enforces this common framework, this common minimum level of security to all the existing companies. So the ones that have the most to gain are the end users. Because let's take, for instance, an elderly person who maybe didn't have the proper IT training or the security training. Let's say I'm 70 years old and I want to buy something on the internet. I just find a very nice commercial and I click on it. Now, I should be able to make that online payment securely without me checking it and learning it first. Is it HTTPS? Is the company securing my data in a proper way? I shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I should have the confidence that because that website is hosted in EU, it is safe for me to enter my credit card detail and just buy that blouse and make sure that I am safe. So this is the overall purpose of all these regulations, to make sure that the end customer is protected just by being in the EU and just by having this confidence that if a
Mm.
company is active in the economical space and in the cyber space and is a let's say compliant with all the regulations, that me as the end user, I am safe.
Mhm. Yes, this makes me think very much about the upcoming Cyber Resilience Act, and probably this is mostly what you're referring to when we speak about product safety users.
Yes.
Indeed, the idea is to have safe products, cyber safe as well, in the EU market. And like small bracket for self promotion, we just launched last week a Digital Europe project together with very excited partners from Romania, from Germany, in Italy, as well as us in Belgium, on compliance with the CRA to support SMEs achieve compliance in a less costly, hopefully more transparent and easy way through guidance and automation tools. So I invite you to check Confirmate, and hopefully we'll make this compliance cost less important. We do as well in Cyen tools for more overall compliance assessment for organizations throughout products, regions, standards. So what I'm speaking about is in CISCO, you do have your own framework and frameworks and mapping. So we do this now accessible for SMEs to also have this level of maturity and hopefully reduce the burden of compliance. Okay.
Thank you for this initiative. I think it's very important, and good luck with this initiative.
Yes, yes, thank you. It's very good that we hear from the industry to recognize the need, but also to be transparent about the cost, because everything comes with a cost, but then eventually the objective of business resilience, you want to continue to be in business, I think it's worth to give a try. Have you attempted, or how do you think of the cybersecurity investment? Do you think in terms of, I don't know, percentage of the cost? Do you think of it as business value, how much your business could lose or how much your business gains by being secure? What is your take on that?
I think it's very dependent on the area of business where you are in. If you are entirely dependent on internet in order to promote your business or to do your business, then I believe it is both. If, let's say, cyber access or internet access is just a very small part of your business, then I believe it's more a compliance issue or a reputation issue. I think it can be all of those depending very much on the business that you are at. But at some point, cybersecurity comes into every part of our lives. I think the percentage of companies that are doing their business and are interacting with their customers completely offline without any online interaction is becoming smaller and smaller. And any single online interaction can be a risk. So I think it's so investing in cybersecurity, it's not only a compliance issue, but it's mostly, let's say, a safety issue. And it's when I mean
Mm-hmm.
safety, it's not just for the customers, but it's for the business as well.
The
Because
cost of doing business. Yeah.
because cybersecurity incidents can easily take a business completely out of the scope and out of the industry. So it's a very big risk that the companies are exposed to, and I believe this happened because the internet evolved so quickly and the available offers evolved so quickly, and the security, let's say, was not taken into account. Let's take, for example, one, let's say, very easy example, which is the IoT devices. There are so many IoT devices that evolved so quickly. It's just about a very small chipset that all the vendors decided to put in their products. I remember 20 years ago, I had a photo camera which has a wireless chipset. So instead of plugging the USB in the back of the photo frame, you put it on the wall and you change the picture every day. It was very nice. Instead of putting the USB in the back, you just have a Wi-Fi connection and you can upload every picture every single morning. It was very nice. The security was almost close to zero. There was no encryption on that wireless connection. Everybody could walk by my apartment and change the security settings and just to put another picture on my photo frame. So that was not the right way to do things. Okay, it was available. They could do it, but they completely forgot or did not care about security. And I believe this is what the CRA is trying to change. If you have any digital connection in an IoT device, that one needs to be secure. I know I mentioned it at the various conference, but it's an example that is very close to my heart. One of the biggest attacks that we had in this world with using distributed denial of service. You know, when somebody, a bad actor chooses a target and it infects many other devices in the world, and then at day zero, all these infected devices decide to send traffic to that victim, and that victim has absolutely no chance. Well, one of the largest attacks like this was done using the IoT devices, the video cameras, even the baby monitors. Just think about how many parents who have no IT specific education are using baby monitors for the safety of their babies without thinking, without being aware that somebody can actually infect that baby monitor and can use it to send traffic to attack somebody else. Well, that thing was possible only because technology evolved much quicker than the security awareness evolved. So sometimes we do things without actually being aware of what are the security risks. Just to imagine
Mm.
a baby growing up, their physical strength is growing, he's able to walk, he's able to jump, but he's not aware of the risks. This is why so many devices, so many toys have like not allowed for 0 3 years, because at 3 years of old, one baby is capable physically of doing things, but he's not aware of the security risks that he is exposed to. So making a parallel, some industries had this phase where they were technically capable of doing things without being aware of the risks. So I think education is very important, and the regulations are trying to raise a little bit this awareness, but indeed, it is a painful and costly way. But I believe growing up is always costly and difficult. So I think it's a learning process that we all need to be part of.
I very much relate to this, having a daughter of my own that is in this age, the 3 years old. So I I can now see the EU businesses in completely different lens. We really need to hold them by hands and explain them the essential risk, because it could be overwhelming, right? It's still over you. It's different lenses of thinking about your business, but someone needs to do it certainly. Cannot be one entity, one type of organization. It has to be a joint effort. It won't happen otherwise. We say in Bulgaria, to raise a kid takes a village. One
Yes.
kid, a village, right? I think it's very much the same with European SMEs. To raise an SME, it takes a village, and I tell you, as being an SME startup, it takes a powerful village.
Yes.
A lot of effort. Um, Thinking of the risks, right? It's all about risk regulation is only in the benefit of companies to be proactive. So being reactive at European regulation on cybersecurity today could be a nightmare. It's too much. It's coming too quick. So what are the ICT trends and regulation you could advise SMEs and companies already to prepare in the next few years, so that hopefully they would be able to count this in the growth potential of their own organization?
I think again, it depends very much on the activity space and on the IT department. If you take into consideration a bank, for instance, their IT and security departments are so good and so strong, and the people are so well trained that they know exactly what trends to look out for. But we still have companies where the IT department is, let's say, very limited, or they are not so active in the cyberspace and in the online media, so they don't have that many resources or that many trained or skilled personnel in the online environment. But there is always help, because I believe we live in the century of interoperability and intercommunication, and nothing is a single player play in this moment. It's all about partnerships, and there are a lot of companies available who offer support, who offer training, who offer education, who offer consultancy services. It's the only thing that it's very important for a company to have is the security mindset. You need to be aware of the security risk, just don't ignore it. Now, whether you choose to address them with your own IT department, or whether you choose to get help from somewhere else and ask an advisory, it doesn't really matter, as long as you are aware that somebody needs to take care of your security policy. It's just like having, I don't know, an expert, a legal advice or an economical advice. Somebody needs to do your accounting. Whether you have your own accountant or you get accounting services from outside, somebody still needs to do it. Uh, Partly because you are enforced by the EU regulations, or partly because you need to have a statement at the end of the year. So it's the same thing about security. It is something that must be addressed internally or externally. But this mindset needs to come into the mindset of all the board executives at any single company. It doesn't matter if it is small or large. And of course, depending on the area of activity or on the size of the business, the size of the companies, these actions will be, let's say, more costly or less costly. They can be very extensive actions. If we are talking about the development companies, software development companies, yes, of course, cybersecurity will play a pivotal role in their day-to-day software development part. If we are talking about a shoe company, okay, then maybe cybersecurity will not be a huge investment, but still on their website, somebody needs to think about security. So just having one person assigned, at least one person who is assigned to be in charge of the security policy and security compliance, I think it's a very important step to every single company, regardless big or small.
And indeed, as you say, because I also work with SMEs, it's important to have someone responsibilized. Doesn't need to be their full-time job, but someone that needs to look, okay, are we there yet? Do we need to do something? Do we need external help, or we can handle it on our own? As you mentioned, the board level, the C level, the managers, they are now not only responsibilized, but also personally held accountable and liable for any breaches when it comes to cybersecurity rules in the EU. So hopefully that would also kind of incentivize a little awareness across the organization of the needs. But something else before we close, I would like to address. You say, okay, you have to take cybersecurity in considerations, and my observation is that with medium organizations, they're very, very aware. But the problem always comes when they are aware and they think someone else is taking care of it. I'm pointing here a little bit to the supply chain or to the service agreements. What is your advice, or how do you propose these companies think about security so that it's a way that they could understand their role in it?
It's a very complicated question, and there's usually the answer. It depends. Again, it depends on the company. It depends on the suppliers. Security, it's about trust. So when you have a secure partnership, when you have a supplier that has to do with security, it needs to be a trusted supplier. Now, of course, there are a lot of regulations and there are a lot of accreditations that each supplier can take. So just checking the fact that this supplier is respecting all the available standards and is accredited by the organization that's supposed to give him or give it accreditation, it's also a very important step. So buying a security product from an unknown company, an unknown vendor is a risk. Having a security service delivered by a company who was founded yesterday and has only 2 employees is a risk. I'm not saying that it cannot be a great company, but it can also not be a great company. So there is always a risk. Managing risk is part of our business. For instance, just to give a parallel with the technology, we have a technology called Umbrella, who is doing DNS security. DNS is that service that checks, that transforms the domain name into an IP address, so it can be technically accessed by our browser. So one of the very simple and important steps that this DNS security product is doing, it checks when this domain became available. When was it registered? Oh, it was registered yesterday. Okay, then it might be a risk. Okay, let's take Google.com. When was it registered? Okay, 20 years ago. Then it's probably safer. So having risk taken into account, it's something that is very important. It doesn't mean that something that was launched yesterday, it's not good. It just means that it needs to go through additional checks. So having a supplier, and when I mean supplier, I mean vendor and partner, a supplier that it's trustworthy, it's a very important step, because again, security is about trust. So you need to work with somebody that you can trust. That's why a well-known vendor who is and a well-known partner who has a lot of case studies, a lot of background, who is used by many, many other companies, is, let's say, better rated in terms of trust and in terms of risk handling rather than, let's say, a smaller or, let's say, an unknown provider. So
I would,
taking risk into account and go to a trusted partner or a trusted vendor or a trusted advisor.
and I would also add, check your risk, because assuming that this trusted partner is taking care of your security is an assumption, and we know assumption is making ASS of both you and me. Thank you very much, Catalina. Very insightful. We will continue the discussion. We will follow up also your technology of advancement. Thank you for sharing this great news on the Cisco side. And to everyone, please subscribe if you would like to hear more of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was nice to be here. Thank you.